Hockey fans, some big news and exciting news. Tony Luffman coming to you from NHL Network Studios, where 26 days away from January 13th, important hurdles still to be cleared, but pending the approval of each side's executive board and Canadian health officials, the Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly letting it be known that there is a tentative deal in place to start the NHL season January 13th. It would be a 56-game season, and this is the kind of news that everyone was hoping for. As we embark upon the weekend, we welcome in EJ Raddick to talk things through. And EJ, this is a lot of what people were talking about. Your immediate reaction to this, particularly the fact that with only 26 days left, this is going to be a compressed amount of time for the teams to get ready.
Yeah, that's correct, Tony. But I do think that this is something that has been an ongoing process throughout. The teams have been aware of where they are in this process, and now we've gotten to the stage where we have this tentative agreement pending, of course, approval by the Board of Governors. And it's my understanding that the Board of Governors will meet sometime this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and then the NHL Players Association as well, their executive board, and then their membership as well. So there are some hurdles to clear with this, but it looks like we are moving forward. And so a lot of this stuff had been reported, but now we have more of an official confirmation of where we are at in that process. And so I think, Tony, that the teams have been kind of amping up with that target date in mind, and so they can sort of hit the ground running as we move forward and hopefully get approval by both sides. As
you talk about clearing hurdles, I think about the original six. We all hear these legendary stories. We see behind you the Gordie Howe. This setup where we've heard a divisional focus could create the kind of animosity, because doing the math, if you've got a 56-game schedule and it's within the division, take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, three of the divisions obviously have 8 teams. The proposed Canadian division, which has been reported on as well, that'd be 7 teams. But in those 3 divisions where the teams would play in the United States, in each of those divisions, you'd play your opponent 8 times.
Wow.
And in some cases, you would be in a circumstance almost like in a baseball type schedule where you might play the same opponent 2 times, 3 times, 4 times in a row. You might play them 4 out of 6 games. A lot will have to do with the logistics of the rink availability and making these things all happen. It's obviously a different circumstance now in the world we live in right now. There's not as many events, clearly, in these facilities. But it will be interesting to see how fans take to that and how the players, again, if we get moving in this format, how they take to it, because that does have the possibility of a lot of bad blood between these teams as they play multiple games against each other in short periods of time. So that is something to think about in the Canadian division. Again, if those reports about that have been true and we get to that, I believe that they would play each other 9 times each, and then there would be 2 teams that have to play each other a 10th time. So there would be a lot of even a little bit more animosity, I guess, when you think about that division. And right now, what we are hearing is that you have the Western teams here in the U.S. and also St. Louis and Minnesota. And again, this is preliminary. These are just reports that have been out there. And so we will see if that holds true, that the Dallas Stars would be in a division with the team they played in the Stanley Cup Final, with Tampa Bay Lightning as one division. And, of course, a lot of those Eastern teams clustered together, Rangers, Islanders, Devils, among others, would be in what is kind of now known as the Metropolitan Division. But we'll see if there's any new names tagged to these when the time comes that we get an official announcement.
Dallas and Tampa, fancy meeting you here. You mentioned Canadian reports. Let's get to Twitter, www.twitter.com, where our colleague Elliot Friedman put this out. Word tonight, NHLPA Executive Board will support the temporary agreement, although it still must be papered. NHL Board of Governors vote to follow in next few days. So these hurdles need to be cleared. The one thing I wanted to point out to you, both of us like numbers. We know that this was the same group that came together and put together the resumption of the season, the resume to play with over 33,000 negative COVID tests. The fact that this same group of people has been able to put together a tentative plan to play 56 games, which, by my math, is nearly 70% of a regular season. With all due respect to baseball, their season was 60 games out of a possible 182. Not only are these hockey teams going to play more games percentage-wise, but perhaps it's best because there's a greater body of work to be able to evaluate these teams. Your reaction to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's good news. I mean, 56 games is a pretty good number. You got to go back to, I think it was 2014 when we had the work stoppage. I think we played a 48-game schedule that year. So circumstances present themselves in different ways, and leagues and teams and all different leagues react, what they have in front of them. Right now, it appears you would think that these teams, if we get approval on both sides, that you'd be looking at playing in empty buildings. But we have a vaccine that's starting to be distributed now. Things may look different in February, in March, in April as we move forward. So there might be an opportunity to start allowing some fans into these buildings over time. I mean, I know listening to the commissioner, he has stressed that a number of times that this is a fluid situation and things are always changing pretty much day to day to day. But right now, the fact that they're close to coming together on a 56-game schedule, where we have teams playing in division and really having some amped up rivalries. And I would imagine, again, this is just from reporting and my own surmising of the situation, that then they would play the playoffs within those divisions, something like a 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, kind of like the old days going back to where I can remember the Patrick division and the Smythe division and the Chuck Norris division, as they used to say. So, I think we'd be looking at something like this. But the fact that they were able to do it is a terrific thing. And the NHL and the NHLPA have done a terrific job during this pandemic, going back to when this whole thing started in March, of trying to make the right decisions to try to keep everybody as safe as possible. As you mentioned, Tony, they ran through the return to play with a bubble format in Toronto and Edmonton, all those negative tests. They were able to pull it off. That was certainly not an easy task. And now they're trying to make this happen, hopefully starting on January the 13th. But as I mentioned, we are in a fluid circumstance right now. Things change day to day. Hopefully we will be able to move forward with this and to get to January 13th and maybe start a season.
We can always count on you to be prepared. Thanks so much, EJ. Great insights.
You got it, Tony.
And I want to thank the one and only Mo, our producer, who said it's 162 baseball games, 82 NBA games. So a turnover on me. But to recap, 56 games, the deal on the table, pending approval. There could be hockey on January 13th. So much excitement building. Hopefully within the next few days, we'll be able to say the season is quickly approaching. That's the latest from NHL Network. I'm Tony Luffman. Keep it locked here for all the updates as this story continues to unfold.